Hi guys, today we're going to be making some facial hair and we're going to be using crepe wool to do this. So what I'm doing is I'm starting out with 3 different colours. I've got my white, my grey and my black. And all I'm doing is I'm starting out by stretching out the crepe wool. It comes in this kind of plaited roll, and it's twined up with this kind of cotton like a thread. So I'm just going to pull that out slightly and just get the length that I need. So now what I'm doing is I'm just cutting off the length I need and making sure that all the pieces I cut off are about the same size, and that's going to help me later on when I'm blending my colours. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm just going to soak these crepe wool sections in water, and I've got 2 bowls. I could have used 3 for each crepe wool, but I decided to put the black and grey together and the white separately. And I'm going to leave this overnight, and then after it's soaked for anywhere between 2 to 6 hours, I'm just going to take out the crepe wool and I'm going to lay it on a towel to dry. And I've just wringed out the excess water back into the tub, so it takes a little bit less time to dry then. So again, I try to leave these as long as I can to dry. You want to make sure there's no moisture left in it. So this is what came out at the end of the drying process. The white and the black I've already started mixing, so that's why they look a little bit more frayed. But the grey has just come straight off the towel and it's completely dry now. So I'm holding it in about the middle section of this length, and what I'm doing is I'm just using my fingers and my thumb and I'm pulling apart the ends, and then I'm just taking these sections and popping it all in a pile. So now I'm gathering all of my sections together, just running my hands over it, and again using my fingers and my thumb just to pull it apart, flip it over and then put it back onto the pile. All this is going to do is make sure that all the hairs are about the same length and that there's no big clumps of any kind of colour or, any sort of texture in one area. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to mix the black and the grey together. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the black and the grey and I'm popping them together, laying them both on top of each other, and then I'm just using my finger and my thumb again like I did with the grey earlier, and I'm just blending the 2 together. Now there is a tool you can buy to be able to do this a little bit quicker, a bit better. It blends the colours really well. However, I didn't have one of those, so I just stuck to the blending method of pulling using my fingers and my thumb. Another way you can mix this is by laying them on top of each other. And again, just smoothing with your hands and pulling with your fingers and your thumb, flipping it over, putting it back on the pile and pulling it. Be careful not to pull this too many times because we don't want really short strands. We just want to mix the colours together a little bit more than they were before. So now we're on to the application process, and I'm using Prozaid to apply facial hair. Now you can use spirit gum if you want to. For years I've used spirit gum, and recently I thought I would try the Prozaid method and I quite liked it, so I went with this one today. And the picture that's on the right is the way that I'm going to apply this hair. So it's just a general shaving guide for guys and barbers, and it shows which way the hair grows. So when I'm applying the hair, I know exactly which way I want to put the hair down and which direction. I don't follow this to an absolute T. I do kind of adjust things as I go along to suit my design, but this is the general guide that I'm going to follow. So I start at number 1, then 2, and obviously move through in chronological order. When I'm laying the hair down, I put my Prozaid down with a cotton bud, and I use a new cotton bud every time I need to go on the face because you do find that the hair sticks to everything. And then I pull a bit of the hair that I've mixed together earlier, and I just trim the very ends so that they're all nice and neat for me to lay down. I then use a tail comb, and using the very end of it, the silver section, I just kind of lay it onto the face and press on the hair where I need it to go. This just stops my fingers from getting sticky from the Pros-Aide and making a mess of everything, and it's quite handy to have this because you can really lay it flat where you need to. It's also really good because you can use the end to brush off any bits of hair that you don't need. And then I pretty much repeat the process for each number that's on that face chart. It just helps me kind of it gives me a direction, a way, a method to work in. And I just use the Pros-Aide, cut my hair, and then lay it with the tail comb flat against the Pros-Aide. You can leave the Pros-Aide to dry a little bit first, so I'd say, until it starts going clear. I did try doing it until it went completely clear, but then the hair didn't stick very well, so I kind of stuck it when it was starting to go clear. And then later on, I'm just going to secure everything in place so that I'm happy, that it's fully stuck to the face. This top section I did do in quite a big lump. Looking back, I probably would have done it in smaller sections, but I know for the future now. So now what I'm doing is I'm doing the top section of the beard around the jawline. And really all I'm doing is I'm just using the Pros-Aide to go in any sections where I feel like there needs to be a little bit more bulk. And I'm just adding the hair in there, using the same method all along. It is quite a repetitive process, but then by the end of it, you have built something pretty impressive. And then I'm just taking my comb and I'm really, really lightly just combing through it just to get rid of any excess hairs that I don't want. And now I'm going in with some tweezers and again, just pulling off any hairs that don't look very neat on kind of part of my design. I just pull those away from the face and just neaten things up. So finally, just going in a few odd sections I felt were a little bit lacking. So I added some more Pros-Aide and then added a tiny bit of the grey hair over the top. It is better to use lighter colours as you get towards your edge. This is just because it helps blend into the skin a little bit more and it looks a little bit more realistic rather than having a big section of black, brown, dark grey, depending what colour you're using. So I'm just going to speed through the rest of this on the other side because like I said, it is very repetitive. And all I'm doing is using Pros-Aide and then laying the hair with the tail comb. So now I'm taking some scissors and I'm just going in and cutting away any excess hairs that I don't want. And then I'm going to start working on the mustache. Again, following the face chart, you can see that 8 is at the top, then 9, then 10. I did this in about 2 sections rather than 3 because I did lay the hair quite thick. And I laid mine down. I wanted to have really long strands coming down to meet the beard because I wanted it to look kind of like old man chic. So to trim the mustache, I put my tail comb along the top lip and this bit's really satisfying and it just helps the actor as well because we don't want any straggly hairs tickling their lips. I'm also using a brow pencil and it's actually like a black shade just to fill in any areas where I need more colour. I'm also using a towel, so just the one that was around his shoulders, and I'm just really pressing on that hair. It just makes sure it's secure in place and it's not going to budge the whole day. So I actually decided to lay some white hair after I kind of finished, because when I was looking at it, I felt like his hair was too colourful. It needed more white through it to match the beard. So I just added some Prozade just at the hairline, and I've taken that white crepe wool and I lay it flat with my tail end of my comb, and then I just use the comb to brush it through the rest of his hair. And I just repeated that in a few sections. Then I also coated the brows and the lashes with a little bit of white cream paint. And again, it just added to the whole effect. I wanted to go with this kind of old guy look. Now my favourite part is trimming the beard. I am no barber, I'm not a hairdresser. I just kind of trim wherever I feel looks right. So I'm constantly looking at it from afar and taking steps back. And I just kind of trim with the scissors downwards, just feather it slightly. So this is the before and after. I was quite happy with the result. Obviously there's lots of things I would like to change, but overall it wasn't too bad. So for the removal, I used IPA. I did actually try a few different removal methods with this one. I tried Bonds Off, Pro Clean, baby oil, but I found that IPA worked the best and the quickest. So I just poured out some IPA into a container and then used just a normal painting brush and just used circular motions with the IPA to start removing it from the skin. This is a long process for removal. It's not the most fun removal process I've ever done. So if you do have someone with you, maybe in a team of 2, that would be ideal for removal. I also got my client to hold the cotton pad to soak it as well, just to see if it came off a bit quicker. So that's everything. If you want to check out any of my other pages, then the links are on screen now. Thank you.